Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
And I'm wife.
Together we're reading the Bible for the very first time.
We grew up without religion and wanted to know what all the fuss was about.
Well, what have we learned so far?
That God is a dick, and apparently some people believe in talking donkeys?
We're not trying to pass ourselves off as experts.
Nope, we're just reading the Bible for the first time and giving our first take reaction.
If you'd like to join us in this venture, you might consider starting at episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in wherever you like.
All right, let's go read the Bible.
Yeah, let's get to it. Husband!
Wife!
Do you know what we're doing today?
Well, it's a little bit late, but we're still on a Saturday, which means that today is...
Q&A Saturday.
That's
I almost
right.
forgot what the song was for it.
I know, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw. I was here.
But
I
pulled it out, though.
You sure did. You pulled it out.
I did.
Yeah. All right. So what are we Qing and Aing today?
Well, we're going back over chapters 39 through 43 of Isaiah and
Yes.
answering some questions about islands and shit like that.
And shit like that. Okay. You ready to get into this?
I sure as fuck am.
All right. Let's do it.
Okie dokie. Okay, so we are doing the Q&A for chapters 39 through 43 of Isaiah.
Okay.
And it's an interesting section because we're ending a section, starting a new section, doing a few overlappy things. And so it's kind of a mess.
Is that a technical term, overlappy things?
Overlappy things is very technical.
Okay. All right.
You might not even know what it means. It's really hard jargon.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So chapter 39 of Isaiah concludes the section of Isaiah that is attributed to Isaiah himself.
Right.
Okay. That is first Isaiah.
Right.
And it's also referred to as proto-Isaiah.
When you say attributed to Isaiah, you mean by scholars? Or by who? Because the whole book is Isaiah. Now, so like they pretend that it's still Isaiah in the Bible, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
But
traditionally speaking, I guess, chapters 1 through 39 are attributed specifically to Isaiah.
Okay.
And the rest is like probably not so much.
Got it.
Okay.
They're like, we're going to pretend this is Isaiah because it's prophetic and we like Isaiah and stuff.
Yeah.
So here it is.
Proto-Isaiah. Okay.
Yeah.
Chapters 1 through 39.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, in the New King James Version, this chapter 39, is also subtitled The Babylonian Envoys, because in this chapter, Hezekiah receives envoys from where?
The Babylonians.
From Babylon, yeah, exactly. So in this chapter, Isaiah foretells the exile to Babylon of the people of Judah.
Right.
Which, came to pass.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yay, Isaiah.
Right.
And then this takes place after Hezekiah's miraculous recovery.
Right.
Wherein he had been sick and he didn't want to die. And he prayed to God, who gave him then 10 or 15 more years.
Yeah. God changes. I mean, just to make sure we understand, God changed his mind.
Mm-hmm. God did change his mind.
People say that God doesn't change his mind, but he did.
I'm like, what about Hezekiah?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then he shows off all of his treasures to the envoys from Babylon.
Yeah, that was probably dumb.
Stupid, dumb move.
Yeah.
And he felt honored by them. And so he gladly welcomed them. He was also really excited because Babylon was the arch enemy of Assyria.
Right.
So he was like, you guys like me? Oh my God.
Yeah, he was
so
like,
awesome.
the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
Totally.
And Babylon was like, let's see what kind of shit they got, huh?
Yeah. They were like, yeah, sure, we're totally your friend, guy. So without consulting either God or Isaiah, he shows them his vast treasures, his abundant supplies of food, and his military armaments.
Right.
And the visitors are duly impressed with the great wealth that God has given Hezekiah.
Sure.
As they would be,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Isaiah was like, you dumb. And he admonished King Hezekiah and questions him regarding the visit of the Babylonian envoys.
I question that questioning of Hezekiah because Hezekiah was supposedly, in good with God, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in good with God, couldn't God protect you as much as he wants to or not wants to, right? Like he just killed 185,000 people for the Israelites, right?
Yes, but the thing is that Hezekiah made this decision on his own. He did not.
Oh, he didn't consult God. He didn't consult Isaiah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's why Isaiah was like, "You done fucked up."
Okay. I guess.
So he was like, "You made an unwise decision and acted foolishly, and you did it out of pride and nonsense."
I still feel though like you get forgiven for that, and God could still protect you if you wanted.
If he
God's
was in
help.
The mood, it just depends on what part of the book we're in.
Right. I'm just saying in the book here, like there's times when God has done things for them after they. I mean, you don't always have to be upright. Like,
right, but God did just grant dude 15 extra years to live.
Right. So he's like, that's enough for now.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then Hezekiah's like 15 more years. Whee! And proceeds to act stupid.
Yeah.
Like he hops out of bed and pridefully shows off his shit.
But the funny thing is that it doesn't even affect Hezekiah because Hezekiah dies before the Babylonian exile happens. So it doesn't
And then Hezekiah even goes so far as to say that.
Right. But his stupidity doesn't even affect him. And that's part of what bothers me too, is that God in the Bible is willing to punish people that are not still alive, like further generations down the line for something somebody else did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? Why?
You know why.
I know.
You know why.
Because he's not real.
Yes. And also he's a dick.
Well, yeah. Both of those.
So that was chapter 39. Okay.
Yep.
And that was the end of that section.
Okay.
Okay. So moving into Isaiah chapter 40, this is the first chapter of the section known as Deutero Isaiah.
Got it.
So we just were doing Proto Isaiah. Now we're in Deutero Isaiah, which is also called the Book of Consolation. And this goes from chapters 40 to 55.
Okay.
Within 2nd Isaiah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, the rest of Isaiah, I'll get to that when we get there.
Yeah.
But
it's something else.
Well, it's called like try something, the third part of Isaiah, even though it's the rest of 2nd Isaiah.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Sure.
It doesn't, but whatever. Anyway, this section, Deutero Isaiah, chapters 40 through 55, are the work of an anonymous 6th century BCE author writing during the Babylonian exile.
Not Isaiah.
Right. Deutero Isaiah has as its subject the liberation of Israel from captivity in Babylon in another Exodus, which the God of Israel will arrange using Cyrus, the Persian conqueror, as his agent.
Right. And I remember covering this. What I don't like about this, though, is that it was written in the time that this was happening and it's passed off as a prophecy.
Right.
So that really pisses me off.
Right. Yeah. It should.
Right.
It should.
Yeah.
And then parts of this chapter, of course, we mentioned when we read it, but it bears repeating as we're going over this, that parts of this chapter are cited in all 4 canonical gospels of the New Testament.
Right.
And Isaiah is sometimes even called the 5th gospel.
Right. Okay.
So I don't recall if I said that at the time.
You have said that before. I don't know if you said that recently or not, but you have said that.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I just always find that interesting.
Yeah.
The 5th gospel. Get the fuck out of here. So then we move into chapter 41, and that's just really short. That one was a really confusing chapter. We had no idea what the fuck was going on. But all it came down to is the Lord challenging false gods and false idols. And in summary, he says, idols are worthless and man is really limited. The end.
Okay.
So
I think we got that much out of it.
Yeah. Well, that's all you were meant to get out of that weirdly written and poorly phrased jumble of words.
Well, then I feel pretty good because I feel like we got that out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right.
So no harm, no foul. Moving on.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So Isaiah 42. That's where we start the servant songs.
Did we skip one? I thought did you go?
That was 41.
Yeah, you just, we were on 40. Okay.
39 was the end. 40 was the beginning.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
41 was difficult.
Yeah.
And now we're on 42.
Okay. Sorry. My brain missed one somewhere in there, I think.
That's because I went fast.
Yeah, I got it.
You can't math when I'm going fast. So anyway, Isaiah chapter 42 is where we start getting into the servant songs.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have to tell you something. I fucked up because in the past I said that it was a section of four chapters in a row.
Okay.
And it's not.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
They are all in Isaiah.
Right.
But they're not in a row.
Got it.
So apologies. I said that.
And
I was
wrong.
I was wrong.
Okay.
I misunderstood.
Okay.
The 4 songs in the book of Isaiah that are the servant songs are Isaiah 42, Isaiah 49, Isaiah 50, and Isaiah 52.
Okay, well, we should probably reiterate that when we get back into the regular chapters because I think that everyone would still think we're in those servant chapters. So,
yeah. Okay. I will definitely repeat that. And then as we each one do the song and get there, I'll do another re-up of that.
Okay.
So I thought this was really interesting. Muslim tradition holds that Isaiah 42 predicted the coming of a servant associated with Kedar, the second son of Ishmael, who went on to live his life in Arabia. Isaiah chapter 42 also mentions that the people of Salah, a mountain near present-day Medina, Saudi Arabia, would, quote, sing for joy and, quote, shout from the mountaintops.
Right.
And so they interpret this passage as a prophecy of Muhammad and his migration to Medina.
I don't know exactly the pronunciation, but
I just thought that was really interesting, since we do a lot of Jewish and Christian stuff. Historically speaking, we haven't really muddled into the Muslim translation of things. Right. So I just thought that was interesting to toss in there. Yeah. So this was the chapter where they talked about islands a fuck ton. And we were like, what are they talking about? Right. So depending on what translation you're reading, it might not say islands. It might say coastlands.
Oh, okay.
But regardless, they're probably referring to all the lands throughout the Mediterranean, the Greek islands and all of those. Right. They are an image of the far-flung and little-known nations across the Mediterranean world. And for Isaiah, the islands are images of the ends of the earth, borders of the unknown world that nevertheless fall under the sovereignty of Yahweh. So they're like, even though we don't know about them guys over there much, right? And they are like the ends of the planet, like, flat earther style kind of shit.
Since this was the extent,
still God's world,
right? And since this was kind of the extent of their knowledge of the area
of geography,
they're like that over there.
But it's still even that is God's,
right? Yeah.
So that's what that was getting into.
Okay.
Yep. Now, then we get into Isaiah chapter 43, and there wasn't a lot to that chapter. This chapter refers mainly to the promised deliverance from Babylon. So just more of that.
Yeah, which we've already covered in other chapters earlier. Yeah. So that's kind of boring.
It is.
So is that it?
That's the Q&A, yeah.
Wow.
We cleared up the islands.
The way that they were talking in these chapters, I know that you kind of covered this when we got into the new book, the second book of Isaiah, but it's a lot more poetic, I guess, in the way that they're phrasing things, which always in the Bible ends up, for me, just meaning it's more fucking confusing. Yeah. Because they're not spelling it out. They're like, let's compare everything to everything else and not actually say anything. And we'll kind of hint at the thing that we want to say, but only in a roundabout manner.
Right. Exactly.
I'm like, okay, could you just fucking say it, man? Like, I don't need all this wonderful, fluffy bullshit, but I just want to know what you're trying to get at here.
But
which I guess some people do appreciate the poetry, so I don't want to knock it too much. But
well, it's also a good way of being able to differentiate different authors.
Right, because of writing styles and things like that. I get that. And obviously the Bible is just a mix mash of all kinds of different writers from all kinds of different times. That's all thrown together and presented as one book of God.
Exactly.
So it's hard to be mad at the fact that there's if anything, we should be mad at the fact that it's not referenced as what it is. It's a mix mash of stories from different authors and not the Word of God. It's just a collection of stories about their God. Sure. But nonetheless, it's still a collection of stories.
But it's really even not about their God. It's about them and them failing to live up to their God and them being punished for that and them coming to terms with that. And
well, even more than that, if we took a step back, it's more of a story of their journey as a race of people, you know? And it could be a beautiful story talking about that if we could just remove the idea of God from it and look at it from the perspective of a people that lived thousands of years ago and say, this is what they were dealing with.
This is what they were dealing with, and this is what they believed back then, and this is how they dealt with their belief system.
Yeah, if you look at it from that context, it is a little bit beautiful. You know, but the fact that God is still harmful today because of the people that still believe in this entity and the things that manifests into is why I have a hard time allowing that to still be the case. Like, I don't want to give it the beauty that it might have in another world and another time, you know. Sure. But I can admit that it is there. It's just I don't want it to be there because I'm kind of angry at the Bible and what it does. Yeah. You know, in our society today.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree.
But anyway, we're getting off on a tangent here.
Sure are.
And I think we're pretty much done with this, right?
Sure are.
So that. So that was our Q&A today. And that means that we will be back tomorrow with our
Sacrilegious Book Club.
Right. And then I will get the weekly wrap up together. And then we'll be back on Monday with
Isaiah chapter 44.
That's right. We'll see you guys then.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep. We have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegiousdiscourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.